All eyes are on this New York City courthouse as the federal trial for disgraced mogul Sean Diddy Combs begins.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're detailing all the shocking revelations and occurrences from the first week of Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing trafficking trial. Warning, certain information contains distressing details.
Well, Diane, I can tell you that jurors are seeing some very explicit text messages that are just too graphic to share on air here.
Opening statements. With the jury selected, Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial began on May 12, 2025, with opening statements that set the tone for the highly contentious case.
The public knew Sean Combs as Puff Daddy or Diddy, a businessman, larger than life. But prosecutors argued there was a darker side to him.
Federal prosecutors began by alleging that Diddy orchestrated a years-long operation involving coercion, substance-fueled sex parties, and various forms of physical and psychological abuse, primarily targeting his former partner Cassie Ventura. Central to the prosecution's case are so-called freak-offs, alleged events involving escorts that Diddy orchestrated and recorded.
Sean Combs, according to federal prosecutors in their opening statement, operated as a criminal enterprise with trusted insiders whose goal was to coerce women into these drug-fueled sex performances. Some of them, prosecutors said, lasted for days.
Prosecutors say that their case will primarily focus on Cassie and another woman who will be referred to as Jane. As for the defense, they pushed back, arguing the relationships were consensual and characterized by adult choices. They painted Cassie and other alleged victims as strong, autonomous women engaged in voluntary relationships.
The defense made a point to call the women involved capable and strong, and that they made choices to be in a relationship with Sean Combs.
They also suggested the allegations were financially motivated.
This is about infidelity, love, and money.
Ultimately, the defense contends that while Diddy may have engaged in unconventional, unorthodox, or even troubling behavior, it does not rise to the level of trafficking or racketeering.
And though they conceded that Combs could be violent with women, even women that he loved and was in a relationship with, they said he's not charged with being violent.
Hotel security guard testifies.
On the stand is Los Angeles police officer Israel Flores.
Los Angeles police officer Israel Flores, who was working as a security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016, testified about a disturbing incident involving Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura.
He set the tone by immediately, as the first witness, taking jurors back to 2016.
Flores said he was called to assist a woman in distress and found Ventura hiding in a corner with her hood up, face covered, and visibly shaken. According to Flores' testimony, Combs explained the two had been arguing and that Cassie tried to leave to retrieve her phone, but he told her no.
Flores testified he recognized the man in the lobby as Combs, so he's identified Sean Diddy Combs here, and that he found Combs to have a devilish stare.
The former guard also testified that he physically positioned himself in the doorway for several minutes to prevent further escalation until Ventura was able to leave the room.
The security guard described going back to Diddy's hotel room and standing in the doorway while Ventura grabbed her things.
However, as Flores also began to leave, he says Combs allegedly attempted to silence him with money by saying, quote, "Don't tell anyone."
Sean Combs tried to offer him money, to give him money to make this go away.
Male dancer details orchestrated encounters. Daniel Phillip testified at the trial that he was hired by Diddy in 2012 under the pretense of performing as a stripper, which he says escalated into intimate encounters with Cassie, all while Diddy watched. Phillip stated that he was paid up to $6,000 for these alleged encounters, which were said to have occurred in upscale Manhattan locations.
So Mr. Phillip agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel to do a performance for a bachelorette party. At least that's what he thought.
Phillips noted on the stand that Diddy once complained about a lack of baby oil during one of the sessions, a supposed, quote, essential item for the so-called freak-offs.
Sean Combs' children, his mother, came to court to support him, but when the testimony became graphic, his daughters stood up and walked out.
The alleged arrangement purportedly came to an end after Phillip claimed to have witnessed Combs becoming violent with Ventura. Meanwhile, Combs' attorney implied that Phillip had developed feelings for Cassie and attempted to distance her from Combs in hopes of pursuing a romantic relationship. While he denied this motive, he did admit to being attracted to her and said, quote, "If she ever gave me the chance to date her, I absolutely would have." Cassie tells her story.
For the first time in 6 years, Cassie coming face to face with Diddy, telling the jury in graphic detail about what they say is the darker side of the rap mogul over the span of their 10-year relationship.
Cassie Ventura's multi-day testimony provided several shocking, detailed accounts of alleged abuse and manipulation at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs.
Today, they didn't have to use their imagination, though. It got real in that courtroom today when the jurors, not the public, not the press, when the jurors saw still screenshots from these freak-offs.
Cassie described being coerced into illicit substance-fueled sex parties known as freak-offs, where she was forced to engage in indecent acts.
And she said she was passed around and objectified by men, and with other men she didn't want to be having sex with, on Sean Combs' whim.
She said Combs initially handled hirings for the freak-offs, but the responsibility later fell to her. She described it as a, quote, job, claiming she had little time for anything else.
The freak-offs took up so much of her time that it stifled her music career.
Cassie also alleged that she suffered from the forced encounters, including chronic infections.
Saying here after the freak-off, the room was pretty bad off. The candle wax, the all over the place. And then she described it as having a pungent smell.
She further testified that Combs would film the X-rated entanglements and use the recordings to blackmail her.
Those videos, specifically, of the freak-offs. She testified that Diddy threatened to release them when he got angry.
The prosecution had Cassie recount the alleged history of physical abuse she said she endured at the hands of Combs, including an indecent assault in 2018 after they split.
I just remember crying and saying no, but it was very fast. I don't know if he noticed.
She claims members of his staff not only witnessed violent incidents, but also the aftermath. Cassie recalled one instance where a security guard was purportedly so affected by her appearance that he broke down in tears.
She felt, quote, scared, trapped, like how do you get out of this situation?
In addition to stating that she saw Diddy assault others, Cassie reiterated an allegation from her civil suit that Diddy threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car after discovering their relationship.
So he then organized a dinner where they sat down and discussed it. He threatened to blow up the car. He threatened that he would not be in the country when it happened, according to her testimony.
Not long after the threat, Cudi's car exploded in his driveway.
In 2012, Cassie alleges that Combs was so enraged over her dating Cudi that he blew up Cudi's car. Through a spokesperson, the rapper, born Scott Mescudi, told the New York Times, quote, "This is all true."
Cassie also disclosed that she received a $20 million settlement from Diddy just 24 hours after filing her November 2023 civil lawsuit against him.
When Ventura finished her direct testimony, he turned to his family members assembled in the spectators gallery and mouthed to them, "I'm okay."
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Cassie's cross-examination. The defense's cross-examination of Cassie Ventura saw Diddy's legal team focus on the pair's past relationship, painting it as initially loving and consensual.
The defense began establishing the love that Combs and Cassie had at the beginning of their relationship, how things really started, then escalated.
Cassie would go on to describe their romance as, quote, intense, quote, fast-paced, and at first, quote, sweet, emphasizing Diddy's charm and the attention he gave her. The defense introduced texts and emails between the two, filled with affection and jealousy.
So this is them just trying to take the guilt off of Combs and putting it on Ventura instead, and her insecurities about the relationship.
There were also messages brought forth that allegedly showed Cassie's enthusiasm for freak-offs.
And the defense showed another message from 2009 where she told Diddy, quote, "I'm always ready to freak off."
Cassie stated that she agreed to them to please Diddy, but added, quote, "There's a lot more to that." She testified these encounters became less about love and more about control.
Jurors are human beings, and when they see this, they're going to cast some doubts, have some doubts in their minds over whether this was consensual.
The defense, however, argued that she willingly partook of her own accord, with Cassie even admitting to participating in a freak-off while she was dating Kid Cudi. Cassie also clarified that the baby oil used was not, quote, laced with anything, something that had been rumored. The defense also pressed Cassie on both her own and Diddy's state of mind during the violent incidents, including the one at the Intercontinental. Cassie acknowledged struggling with substance use and disclosed that Diddy once OD'd on painkillers at a party in 2012.
But what we seem to be seeing the defense trying to establish here from both sides is state of mind, and that they were both on a lot of drugs during this period.
She revealed that she checked into a treatment facility in 2013 to address her mental health and PTSD, but firmly denied that it was for, quote, love or sex addiction. Meanwhile, prosecutors alleged that the defense is deliberately dragging out the cross-examination of Cassie, who is nearly 9 months pregnant, in hopes she'll go into labor, thus forcing a mistrial.
In a letter to the judge overnight, prosecutors said that defense lawyers are purposely trying to prolong their cross-examination of Ventura into next week in hopes of risking a mistrial.
Are you following Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial? Share your take on the case in the comments below.
Yesterday, and I think when the prosecution gets to redirect, we're going to see them try to link the violence that happened later in the relationship to her participation and make the argument still that she was being coerced.